6. You know? It's up to you.
Go to space eventually, and I feel like that's really, really cool.
Beautiful. Aaron Shepard, I see you nodding your head at all these answers. What do you have to add, my dear?
Ooh, had to unmute myself. Yes, I am like everyone else. I'm super excited. I'm super excited for the grown-ups in the room, but I'm more excited for these kids because growing up, like a lot of us, we saw all this space stuff and it was cool, and I don't know, some of the not kids in the audience may agree with this, but it felt so distant. It's like you look at that and you're like, oh, that probably won't be me. You have to have all this training. You have to go through this rigorous selection process. But after tonight, we're starting to see civilians, like it was said earlier, regular people like us being able to go to space. And that helps to make the dream tangible. And I think that is so important, especially when we're like, for kids, when we're thinking about what we want to be when we grow up, when we, I say we like I'm still a kid, I kind of am. It's just, again, it is so, I'm so excited for the amount of inspiration that's going to happen from this flight, ironically named Inspiration. So yeah, I'm really happy to see this happen and I can't wait.
Dr. Ideal, I will come right there to you, but Ryan, unmute. You are on the ground at KSC. What's it like down there?
Emotional. Everyone is, this is very personal. It's different. There's been I've seen a lot of launches when I lived in Florida and been involved with different payloads and things like that. But this is a friend. This is the first time that a friend has gone to space versus, meeting an astronaut and working with them or becoming their colleague. So this is very different. I'll kind of like swing around as I chat. So here's some leaders for some of the guests from the crew in St. Jude's, and we've got a nice little tent over here with snacks and drinks to keep everyone happy. And then most people from the group are actually by the press site that's over by the turn basin. So you'll probably see lots of tweets coming from there. That's where the historic countdown clock is. It looks like they're gonna do a little presentation here now. But yeah, pretty cool.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna go listen. But I wanted to say hello at least, and I hope everyone has a great time. So take care. Cyan, go crew, go Inspiration 4. Cheers.
Cheers. All right, Dr. Ideal Gonzalez Cerreccio, what is your moment? Because this is your friend. You are also a second round citizen astronaut candidate. What's it going to be like for you?
Well, right now, I am just so excited. I'm so grateful it was like during this time because I had a classroom of students who could actually see themselves as astronauts. I actually had to post that I have artists in my class. We have students here with prosthetics. We have dancers. We have engineers. We have innovators and plus. And how wonderful the intersectionality of gifts, differences, and interests are all coming together under the word astronaut. How amazing is that? That I actually had to stop class and really stop and say, this is why we are learning this, so you could get some skills, and being able to communicate to others that the beauty of science, the beauty of art, the beauty of humanity is happening right now. And I wish I was a wordsmith, because I don't know how to capture the right words. All I could say is my heart. And I'm so excited for the young ones, our little young world changers, that will have this more of a commonplace and use space as a tool to further themselves, their community, their nation, our planet, and clean it up. Just heart.
Ideal, your words are just fine, and your face also brings it home. You can see the passion and the excitement.
Yeah, so I'm actually currently, we're gonna have several students from where I work coming together. I have one currently in her helmet.
Woohoo!
And, yeah, so it's an amazing moment today, an amazing moment. And I'm very blessed and honored to be sharing it with you all and with everyone around here. And go inspiration.
And it is only 45 minutes away, that launch. Everything seems to be go. I have the sound turned down on the SpaceX feed, but it sure looks like we are headed toward an on-time launch at the very beginning of that launch window, which would be at 2 minutes past the hour, no matter where you are. Where I am, it's only going to be 5:02 in the evening, but it looks like, well, yeah, we just passed the 45-minute mark on the countdown. So we're looking
There are
great.
some parts in the world that have half hours, though.
That's true. That's true. That was Chris Carberry. Anybody not know Chris, the CEO and co-founder of Explore Mars? And
No, we won't wait for anybody to say no, they haven't, but I'm sure plenty haven't. But just hello, everybody, welcome. Very exciting evening, and when we brought Sian into the board of directors last year, we knew she was a star, but we didn't realize how quickly her star would literally launch, just a few months later. It's just extraordinary, the journey, because for those of you who don't know Sian's story, of course, she's dreamed, since she was a kid of going to space. She went, pretty deep into the formal astronaut process with NASA, didn't get it. And then this whole process was so quick with the announcement of this program. And then I remember back, Janet will remember this, because Sian started sending us cryptic emails. We'll need to speak next week. Can we arrange a call next week? I can't say anything right now, but we definitely need to speak. And thinking, well, that's really weird. I wonder what's going on. Obviously, we knew something was going on. It never crossed my mind that she was selected to go into space, but that was it. And, we heard that before the phone call because the announcement was made. So what an extraordinary journey in just a few months, that all of her dreams came true. And just anybody watching the Netflix series, the extraordinary process they're going through, all the training, climbing out Mount Rainier, going in, fighter jets, zero-G flights, etc. It's just extraordinary. So we certainly wish her best luck. But even if she hadn't gone into space, this has certainly been an extraordinary journey for her and her entire crew. And I should probably mention to everybody watching, don't forget, this is all to support St. Jude's Research Hospital. So, we still want to support that, obviously well after the launch. So if you haven't yet, please log on and donate to this important cause. I think Janet mentioned already $213 million has been raised, which is really quite extraordinary. Let's see if we can get up to 300 million.
thanks, Chris. I see that, Kevin had his hand up a moment ago. And we also see that the access arm to the Crew Dragon capsule has just about, in fact, I think it just completed its swing, or it's about to. And so they are on their own at the top of that Falcon 9 rocket.
And
Kevin?
Matt, I see Mary Liz and Loretta and Beth. Unmute, ladies.
Oh, there they
I wish
are.
I was there. Look at
Hey,
all the
folks.
kids.
Hi, Janet. Hi, Janet. We're here.
We made it.
Yeah, you should see it. Everyone was in the tent, and everybody just came out of the tent to the grass, and they're like, "Whoa, let's go!" Like they're ready to watch. And right up when the arm got retracted. What happened?
We are
tell
so
us a little
envious.
Bit about, we are. Tell us what you've experienced the last few days.
Oh my God.
Go on. Go
No,
on.
no. I mean,
We've been so privileged to watch like all these little steps that are just closer, tiny steps towards what's coming, which is getting in the car, honoring the families, getting the experiments loaded, seeing the joy, seeing the friends and family, seeing the support crew, and then this united group of us coming together to network and share in the joy is really the spirit of what we're experiencing here.
yeah, we've got so many powerful space women in one place. It's really dizzying. I'm in all the time. This is awesome.
Yes.
And they're giving free ice cream.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, that tops it. Can you see the great group of young people and others that we have here?
No.
Hi guys.
We're on a phone, so we have to switch screens.
Let me look.
I'm so glad you're there.
Oh, we'll look through the names. Whoa!
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yay.
Well, welcome. Place for everyone in space.
I have to tell you, emotions are extremely high. They have been for the last few days as we went out to visit the pad, and then we got to see the crew go into their Teslas earlier, and then Elon walked up and was like embracing the family members and talking to them, and they were thanking him for taking care of their loved ones. And then Sian walked out, and we all just kind of lost it. So emotions are high, but I think it's hard to really take it in. Loretta and I have been talking a lot about this. It's hard to grasp the grandeur of what our friends are doing, and this new era that they're opening for us. And so I think that we're probably going to lose our minds after launch. Yeah, it's going to be very, very emotional.
If I recall correctly, Loretta should be having a flight fairly soon.
Yeah, as soon as we finish our mod on the mothership, when we start commercial ops, I think I'm up. So I'm pretty excited.
Much delayed honeymoon flight, I think, isn't it?
Sorry, what was that?
Say it again.
I said it's a much delayed honeymoon flight, right?
Yeah, so we just celebrated our 15th wedding anniversary. And remember, we bought the tickets a year before we got married. So, yeah, we're very excited. I think we might just do it as in honeymoon style now. It's been 15 years, we can do it. Sounds good.
Can you show us the view that you folks have of the launch pad?
Yeah, let's see, I'll point to it.
There it is, right there.
Ah, okay, right behind you.
Right there.
Oh, there, yes.
It's not that big.
But
Yeah.
quite close. I'm sorry we had to call in on my phone, but it is probably, I've seen over 100 rocket launches at this point, and I usually see them from right over there. The press site is right next to us. So Ryan, which he's pumping in a feed to you all, that live feed is just right next to us. So we have a really, really good view. And we're here with the family of the crew. So we're waiting around and hearing all these stories about all the families and Haley, how amazing Haley is, how amazing Sian is, how amazing Chris is, how amazing Jared is. And so it's surreal to be this close and feel so connected to those humans.
I wonder do any of the young people who have joined us today for this party, do you have any questions for these happy, excited people that are at the Cape waiting for the launch? Kevin has his hand up. You have to unmute. There you go, Kevin.
How does it feel to just be there and stuff? Because I've seen a bunch of rockets, but I haven't been there personally, and I really want to someday.
You have to. You have to do it. There's nothing like being here. I've seen many rocket launches on webcast
too. But being here, you feel it. Like you feel the rocket rumble and the sound wave rip through. There's just nothing like it. There's something about seeing something, like seeing a beautiful picture of the sunrise and actually going out to see the sunrise is a totally different experience. This is another awe-inspiring. You'll never forget.
Mom, I do.
And then Matt Kaplan for
Hey guys, Mary Liz and
Yeah.
Beth,
Yeah,
your
I can't
audio
hear
is
you.
your audio is
Yeah, your
breaking up a little
audio's
bit. I'm afraid
breaking up.
we see the passion that comes through because the picture hasn't been lost, but it is breaking up a little bit. We were doing fine a few moments ago. We should mention everybody. That's Mary Liz Bender and Beth Mund, who are there at the Cape, our eyewitnesses for you. Should we give it another try? Oh, looks like they may have dropped out. Oh no, there you are. Beth, you want to try again?
Yeah, Beth, why don't you tell them?
Okay, so we just discovered that we all, you too, Matt, we were all at that Falcon Heavy launch, which was the ultimate experience in launches because it's bigger, more thrust because it has more to lift off the Earth. So if you can get to a launch, you should. And even if you can't with a formal ticket, you can come and just go to a public park or you can go to the beach. There's so many ways that you can come and experience the launch. And like Mary Liz said, it's nothing like a digital image, which is pretty perfected and great, but being in person also, it's not just the launch, it's what we're doing right now, talking to you, talking to friends, meeting people who are connected to this industry. That's as much of a joy as the launch.
Yes. And I don't know if you heard me earlier, but what I was saying is that there's nothing like feeling the sound waves rip through your chest. There's nothing like it.
Your teeth rattle, your hair gets vibrations, and then your heart beats a little different, like out of rhythm. It's crazy.
And I have to tell you, we're right in front of the VAB, so I'm going to turn around real quick and show it to you.
Yes.
So this is the vehicle assembly building where they have assembled a lot of the rockets in the past, right? And it's a special kind of building that when the sound waves come toward us, it reflects off of those doors and it just rattles around. And then, so you're hearing the rocket launch in so many different ways in stereo. And that's also a special feeling. So this spot right here is very special to me.
I guess we're not going to quite make it into the dark, but another great thing about being at a launch, if it's a night launch, I remember when that Falcon Heavy went up, they turned off all the lights at the visitor center, and then those 27 engines lit up all of us in that golden glow. It was amazing. Mary Liz, have you seen the documentary made about Lightsail 2? It's a little plug here, the Planetary Society's Lightsail spacecraft, which you are in. And you really get across the PB&J, the passion, beauty, and joy.
I do. I'm a PB&J nut, as you know, Matt. I was going to be in the documentary. I remember that moment after I was watching, and I was like, oh my God, I remember when they asked me those questions. And then I love that you, right after I, get super emotional and philosophical, you talk about it being the heart and soul of spaceflight. And I just loved that our messages were kind of connected. So that was really special to me, Matt.
Speaking of PB&J, if I can just tell you, we have met people that make the nuts and bolts of this rocket. And to me, I think the fire and the vibrations and the sound, that is all great. But to meet the people who have their hands on it, who build it with pride and with faith and with their engineering background and their love for science and space and exploration, those people are here too. And they are here sharing their joy with us. So this is exciting. But I was just as excited to be on the bus with one of the engineers who literally makes the nuts and bolts of the Falcon 9. So it's all about everyone who has a touch point of what's going to happen behind us. And we say that often, but it's true. Everyone touches this in some way. Students watching right now, Janet and Matt and Chris, we have all touched this in a way. So we might be able to be here in person, but in a way we've all had a part of this success.
And we're all going. I feel like that's the beauty of this mission. The fact that they're all civilians and they're not professional astronauts that have spent their whole life working to this, it makes me realize that this could be any of us. And I actually already feel like I'm on that rocket, especially because Sian is such a good friend of mine and yours. I feel like we're already inside that capsule.
In spirit, you bet.
Yeah.
You bet.
And metaphorically, we are. We're all going to space right now.
Anybody else have a question for Mary Liz or Beth? You can raise your hand. Artemis, I saw that you posted one in our little chat window here.
Yes. Is it true that you will see the sound wave of the launch move towards you over the grass before you hear the sound of the launch? Is that true?
I think it, depends on the lighting, but I think that we'll see it. So we'll be next where those people are beginning to line up. We'll be closer to that rope, and on the other side of the rope is the water. And I think the waves moving across the water. That's happened.
Yeah, I've seen the sound wave crossing the water. So
yep. Actually, my first rocket launch was with Bill Nye, my old boss, Matt Kaplan's boss, Bill Nye, the science guy, and he gave me this awesome play-by-play the whole time. It was the first Falcon Heavy launch, and he said, "Look at the water! Look at the water! The sound!" And then I'm like disappointed that I don't have Bill next to me telling me what to look for.
Yeah, where's Bill?
Bill, come back.
Right now, Bill is in Montreal shooting his new television show. Yeah. Otherwise, I bet he would be with you right now. I don't think he would have missed it. Bill Nye is the CEO of the Planetary Society. I'm told that Lucas has a question. Lucas? Lucas, you need to, there you go.
So I was going to be there when there wasn't a launch going in 2019. So I got to be there, but not during an actual launch.
Oh, do you want to see a launch someday, Lucas?
Yes, I do.
Hi, Lucas. Way to go.
And I see that we also have Dr. Shauna Pandya and the Hip Hop Science Show guy. There's Maynard. So Shauna and Maynard, do you guys have thoughts about what we're witnessing tonight? Shauna.
Hey, oh my gosh, I am so excited. I think the smile says it all. Like, this is history in the making. When you see one of your friends, Sian, going up to space, she's trained for this forever. She was, as many may know, she was top 47 in the 2009 selection, and just an incredibly brilliant, incredibly kind person. She's always been an astronaut in the making, and to realize someone who's had this lifelong dream, she's going to space, you guys. I'm so excited, and I'm appropriately wearing my inspiration for Space to Inspire gear, as well as the NASA gear. So this is so historic. And then there's so many firsts here. Sian is will be the 4th African-American female astronaut, the first to pilot. This is the first all-civilian crew. They've been training. Oh my gosh, like I am on so many watch parties right now because we're all just sharing the excitement behind the scenes, because space is a surprisingly small world. We've been cheering each other on for so long. And just watching, one of us going to space, it's incredible. And I am so thrilled. Chills down my spine, and I cannot stop smiling. So I'm just thrilled to be part of today.
And there is the Hip Hop MD. Welcome.
What is up, everybody? Sorry, I'm like ultimate multitasking over here. I have like 3 screens on. My computer's on in my office. I got the screen on here in the living room. And then I'm obviously dressed up. I had to put on my Go Zero G flight suit for this flight. Super excited. This is absolutely awesome. I've been looking forward to this for months. I know Dr. Sian Proctor as well, too. Her and I collaborated earlier, actually last year, doing this Dexter outreach platform for students. And she's so amazing, and her passion and her energy. So I'm fully supportive of her. This is 100% me here supporting Dr. Sian Proctor. To be able to say that I know someone that's going into outer space is absolutely incredible. And we're all talking about accessibility and diversity. So important, representation. That's really what I wanted to highlight when I did my Go Zero G flight with Space for Humanity a couple months ago, was really to be able to showcase that space is truly for everybody, that this is a field that's accessible for all of us, and we have an opportunity to be able to be a part of it, and to be able to see now one of our friends, somebody in our community, going out and actually becoming an astronaut. This is just mind-blowing. And I'm so excited that Netflix is doing what they're doing right now as far as bringing the entertainment aspect of it. Because you know me, I'm the hip-hop MD. This is what I do. To be able to have that incorporated is so special, because we really need to bridge that gap. We need to get people that are outside this community excited about everything that's going on with space flight. And to be able to bring civilians out into space right now is something that needs to be celebrated and that everybody needs to have their eyes on. So this is so important. This is so impactful. And the outreach and the spread that this is getting right now, and the gravity that it's getting, no pun intended, is so amazing. And so I'm absolutely thrilled to be a part of it, and thrilled to just be part of everybody here, because this is a great community. Loretta, everybody that we were in with our space classes for the past few months, it's been absolutely fantastic to be a part of this community. And to watch this, I mean, literally we got, 30 minutes left. This is mind blowing. I'm super excited. I'm pouring an adult beverage. I'm happy to have a good time. This is fantastic.
T-minus 25 minutes and 42 seconds, at least on my stream. Your mileage may differ. Brian, you had your hand up. Do you have a question?
I just wanted to say, Mr. Maynard, are you going to be making this into a video? Because I love your videos, and I had a great time listening to you maybe a week ago when Mr. Steve was interviewing you.
Oh, that's awesome. I have, who knows, maybe I might have to be, I did release a whole video about gravity where I incorporated my space flight with the, or not my space flight, but my Go Zero G flight with the Space for Humanity. But I definitely want to be able to do something with Dr. Sian Proctor when she gets back. So maybe we might do a culmination of something. Who knows? We'll keep y'all guessing.
I see so much enthusiasm about Bill Nye. I think I'm going to text him. If he's not shooting, maybe I can get him to send us a little message, at least something I can read to all of you. Kevin, I see your hand.
I have a question for, 1 second. I want to check if there's, never mind, they left. I was wondering if the people at the launch, like what it was like working for Bill Nye, and what that was like, but they aren't here anymore.
Oh, but you have somebody who works directly with Bill Nye. That's
Yes.
Matt Kaplan. So he can tell you if you have a question about what it's like to work with Bill Nye.
Yeah, like what's it like to kind of like do that kind of stuff?
He's a great guy. What the Bill Nye that you see on television is exactly the Bill Nye that you get in person. I hope you get to meet him someday. He is a lot of fun to be with. He loves space. He says that we are in this to answer two great questions. Where do we come from, and are we alone? And he says that space brings us together. It brings out the best in us, which is, I think, something that you can see in all of your faces today and in the people that we're hearing from. Space is one of the few things that a lot of people agree on. I think, Aaron, you were talking about this earlier today, that it is, and so is Chris, there aren't that many things that cost money and that governments do and people can get behind that pretty much everybody agrees on. Now, I don't know if everybody out there is as enthusiastic about space exploration as you guys are, because you guys are obviously big fans, but it is still something that unites almost everybody. And if Bill was here, I'm sure he would be thrilled just like we are, and he would be saying pretty much the same thing. Sean?
I was wondering if kids can join the Planetary Society, because I keep seeing things for it, and I was wondering if kids can join it.
You sure can. Absolutely. We welcome everybody who cares about space exploration and space science. And if you go to planetary.org, you can read more about that. And very soon we are going to have some more activities for young people. So you'll just have to keep an eye on the website, or maybe you'll hear about it from Janet, since you talk to her pretty regularly. But we do have some great plans that I think early next year, early in 2022, there'll be some really cool stuff for young people to get involved with. At least that's what I'm hoping. I mean, you know, we got Bill Nye. We ought to be doing stuff with young people, right? Andrew.
I was wondering if there maybe any upcoming space flights or anything like that that kids might be able to get on.
Oh, I don't know if any of the kids could get a ride on. I'd be in that line too, even though I'm no longer a kid. But there are some great space missions that are about to start. How many of you know about the James Webb Space Telescope, the giant telescope that is now set to launch? Finally, we've been waiting for this for years. On December 18th, that's when we hope it'll finally go up into space and do things that even the Hubble Space Telescope can't do. We have the Lucy mission, which is going to fly out to some asteroids that are on the same orbit that Jupiter is. And we have, this one's really exciting, it's called DART, the Double Asteroid Redirect Test. And that's a spacecraft that is actually going to slam into an asteroid and see, as we watch this happen, whether we could maybe do the same thing with an asteroid that is headed toward Earth, so that we don't have to go the way of the dinosaurs. Do you guys know why the dinosaurs all died? It's because they didn't have a space program. And we have a space program. And so we're going to be able to, we hope, be able to deflect, to push those asteroids aside, the ones that might have, you know, ruined our day here on Earth. Does anybody else want to add anything about opportunities for young people and missions that are coming up?
Well, I know that as long as for a zero-G flight, you can, I think, go as early as 14, but you have to have like a chaperone with you. So by the time you're 16, you can go on like a zero-G flight that Maynard was just talking about. I've been on one. I bet Ideal is, Ideal, Dr. Gonzalez, have you been on a zero-G flight?
The closest was my extra 300 high G training. We also hit micro G and zero G, and then I have a parabolic flight coming in January to do some of my experiments. So soon.
Very soon. How about you, Dr. Pandya? Have you gone on a zero G flight yet? I know you're scuba diving.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have been lucky enough to do 140 parabolas plus in zero G so far. So when we talk about zero G, most people think, hey, you've gone to space. But for those who don't know, you can actually go weightless without ever going to space. So who here's heard of the vomit comet? A lot of us, yeah. So I've been lucky enough to do 6 science campaigns and then one fun flight with zero G adventures back in the day. And so for those who don't know how you would go weightless while still being on Earth, you actually get in an airplane and then you're flying in parabolas, just which is why we call it parabolic flight. And then the way that you simulate zero G is just think of when you're at the top of a roller coaster and you're about to go over the top of that roller coaster, your stomach lifts into your throat for a second, and it's because you're weightless. And so now because you're falling at the same rate as that airplane, as you overcome that crest when you're coming over the top of that parabola, you're actually weightless for 20 to 30 seconds at a time. And you can do all sorts of cool science and technology test beds, technology demonstrations. And of course, it's a whole lot of fun being in zero G. It's you kind of feel like Superman flying through the air. So I've been lucky enough to do a whole lot of science and a whole lot of parabolas. And I gotta say, every single time feels like the first time. It is incredibly fun.
Well, I see that we have Tom on and then a call-in user. So if you're calling in, who are you and how excited are you for this mission?
Tom Spilker. I wondered what Tom we were talking about.
Yeah.
Hello, Matt.
Tom, how are you?
Hey, Tom.
I've been telling people I'll let you know when I regain consciousness.
So let me just say up front that Tom Spilker, who is a scientist and an engineer who worked at the Jet Propulsion Lab, now works for a company that wants to build a giant space station, which every one of us, I bet, would love to visit. And it is really cool, Tom.
Thank you, Matt. We're not only looking at the space station, but all of the steps between here and there to do it. So I guess it was Thoreau that wrote, if you've built castles in the air, your work need not be lost. Now put the foundations under them. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put the foundations under those castles.
So it's OAC, right? Orbital, I can't remember what, Orbital Assembly Company or Corporation. If you guys want to see some amazing stuff that we apparently now are actually capable of building, it's like, it's not quite the giant ring space station that you may have seen in 2001: A Space Odyssey, but it's pretty darn close. And so you might want to visit their website. So Tom, how far are we away from having that space hotel that people could fly up to on a Dragon capsule or a Starship or a Dream Chaser?
Well, the first version that we just recently sent a proposal into NASA to be working on would be smaller than the Voyager station, but it could be that we could have the first parts of it up in 3 years and have people up there in 5.
Just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Wow.
So, well, it's
I'm
good
ready.
to see you.
Yes,
Good to
thank
see you,
for
Tom.
being
Janet,
here.
Janet, who else did you say joined us?
There's a call in. It's like, you want to unmute and tell us where you're calling from and who you are?
I see it, and we don't hear you, I'm afraid. It looks like maybe they tried, but it didn't quite make it through. We can ask some of our young people, do any of you have any other questions for the great space stars that we have on the call?
Anybody want to ask?
I'm watching for a hand.
Let's see. All right,
Kevin has his hand up.
For like the orbital station, like is there like a timeline for that, like when construction will start or when it'll be ready? Like I know you said there was a year between construction starting and when people could go up, but like when will the construction start?
I think that was a question for me.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, to start out, we're going to do a project we call Gravity Ring. We don't want to do a ground demonstration of something, which we did back in June. We demonstrated the technology that we're going to use for constructing trusses that are the structural starting points for everything that we're going to build. We did that back in June, but we don't want to go straight from a ground demonstration of a technology to a space station that we're wanting to put people on in one step. So we've got a few steps before we get to the big Voyager station. That first step we call Gravity Ring, which is showing in space that we can build a truss in space, build a circular truss in space, which if you're going to build a rotating space station, it'd be really nice to have a circular truss rather than a straight one. And we will put the equipment on that circular truss to make it a spacecraft in its own right. We'll have propulsion systems, radio systems, solar power systems, and so on. And we'll start launching the pieces of that in 2 years, and expect in about 2.5 years to have done the spin up, demonstrate that we can generate artificial gravity, and also demonstrate that we can control it while it's spinning, use our thrusters to control its attitude, control the spin rate without causing something called nutation. It's kind of a wobble of something that's spinning, and show that we can do the attitude control and spin control without causing too much nutation and without causing any other problems also. And then from there, we'll go to what we call our Pioneer class station, which would be a smaller space station, something on the order of 20 to 30 people on board in 4 of what we call our modules. And we'd be putting the first parts of that up in 3 years and would be ready to have people up there in about 5 years. The big station Voyager would follow on the Pioneer class station, and we could go straight from demonstrating the Pioneer class station and demonstrating our operations and that everything works. Within a couple of years, we could start building the Voyager class station.
And Tom, the whole idea, right, of having a ring structure, a circular structure, is so that you can spin it, and we can finally get that artificial gravity that makes it difficult for humans when they're weightless to spend too much time in space.
Oh, exactly right. We have demonstrated with several different space stations that if you're in space for more than a few months at microgravity in 0G, you are going to have problems. And in fact, those problems start soon after you get up there, and they just keep getting worse. And as it turns out, if you're up there for a year or more, those problems can get to the point that they're actually fatal. There have been blood flow problems, which there was actually one blood flow problem in an astronaut that was up there. Fortunately, it was not fatal. But they have done some tests on astronauts that have been up for some time, and a significant fraction, more than half of the ones tested, showed either stagnated or reverse flow in their jugular veins. And this can cause clots, which can kill you. So we know that we cannot spend an entire human lifetime at 0G. It will kill you. We've got lots and lots of experiments at 1G. Everybody who's ever lived has been one of those experiments at how does a human do at 1G. We do fine at 1G, but essentially we have no data at all in between. We've got 3 days at a time at lunar G with the Apollo astronauts on the moon, but 3 days is not long term. You can't get any information about the long-term effects from those 3-day stays.
Tom, I'm going to stop you there because we are just hitting T-minus 10 minutes before the launch, and there are no holds. It looks like this is going to happen right on time at 2 minutes after the hour. But all extremely exciting stuff. I cannot wait to see that. Even the smaller version of that big Voyager station up there above our heads. I'd like to visit someday too. So do it soon.
That Voyager will let us do the research. How much G do people need?
Janet, I see we've got some other new additions. Anybody else that you want to introduce?
Good luck.
Or
Godspeed.
Things you want to talk about?
Hey, I see Rhonda Stevenson there with Tau Zero Foundation. I know you're tuning into this. How are you feeling about this as another female in space?
I'm so excited. I'm just on pins and needles, and I'm wearing my orbital assembly hat today. And is that Alex? Is Alex with us today? I wanted to say hi to Alex.
I think it's Ander. Yep. Ander's up there. And just thank you for joining us. And Tom, I'll have to have you back. Oh, and Mr. S, right on time, another fellow educator calling in. Mr. S, let's see your filter. I'm sure you got your space helmet on. Maynard, I think you've already met Mr. S. It's like, I want to make sure all my friends are well connected here, but I'm looking at the SpaceX feed now and I'm over here. It's like my leg is jiggling. I can't sit still. I feel like it's gone up 1,000 degrees. I'm watching them sit there in their spacesuits, in their space seats in that rocket. So it is all becoming incredibly real here. So beautiful, beautiful stuff. Steve, would you like to say anything, Mr. S?
Steve, we see a still of you, and we see that your mic is muted, but we can't hear or see any video yet. We'll hope that Steve can get that working so he can check in with us from South Africa. What a beautiful sight we are seeing at the Cape at the launch pad. It is absolutely gorgeous, and there is the liquid oxygen venting away from the booster from the Falcon 9. It looks like we are still go for launch at 7.5 minutes, T-minus 7.5 before these 4 so-called civilians head up into orbit on their own for 3 days in that Crew Dragon capsule. Steve, you want to give it another shot?
I just
Guess
got a
not.
message from him. He said he's in bed because of the hour in Cape Town, South Africa, but he didn't want to miss the party. So he is sending his well wishes as he is down in Cape Town. Again, just an amazing thing. It's like, I want to ask any of my students or anyone really, it's like, if you could just say one sentence of like your best wishes for the crew of Inspiration 4, who would like to just say something so we can put that out in the universe? Yes, Ander.
I hope that they have a great flight, and I hope that they can be the first civilians into space and further the future of space travel.
Who else? Lucas, what good wish would you like to tell the crew of Inspiration 4?
They are inspiration, like how the name suggests, but also the milestone that this is. That some people, like what the news might put it out to be, like they might not put it of how monumental this is.
Beautifully put. Jesse, what are your words, my friend?
Lucas really did say it. They are such an inspiration to all of us. And just add Astra.
Add Astra, indeed. T-minus 5 minutes coming up.
All right, Brian, let's get those well wishes. We're 5 minutes away.
Your mission is our mission. Ad Astra.
Well said.
Well said. Thomas.
I just can't explain it because the fact of how big of a milestone this is for just regular civilians to be doing this is just, you can't explain it.
Kevin.
So true.
I just wanted to wish them the best and say that they're inspiring so many people while doing this, just being the first people to be just a regular person, not some like trained professional or some multi-billionaire doing this, just like regular people just like you and me.
Thank you. How about Dr. Pena, Dr. Gonzalez, anybody?
We have Sachita has her hand up.
Sachita, yes, please.
I just wanted to say that they are truly inspiring. They definitely inspired me, and I'm sure many people are right now. And I really hope that they have a great flight and make this day historic.
Thank you. T-minus under 4 minutes now. We are 4 minutes away, and it looks like we are go for launch. I want to point out one more person who has joined us there next to Tom Spilker. That's Linda Spilker. And how many of you know the Cassini mission that spent 13 years going around Saturn and showing us Titan and Enceladus? Well, Linda is the project scientist for that mission. Still project scientist, even though it's over. She also wants us to go to other places in the outer solar system. And so Linda, hello to you.
Hi, Matt. It's great to be talking to you again.
And Linda,
Very
you
good.
did a beautiful thing for one of my students. I don't know if you recall, it was sometime last year during the pandemic. She said her favorite planet was Saturn, and you sent her a most wondrous email, and I cannot thank you enough for doing that for Lucia. So thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I was happy to do it.
Dr. Gonzalez, are your students in the room with you? You want to
Yes, I have my class here of world changer artists, innovators, and they want to wish inspiration, love. You want to say it? 1, 2, 3, go.
We want to see them. Bring them up.
They can't see the faces, but I could just see like because we're in a school, so I can't show faces, but there are tons around here. Do you want to scream one more time? 1, 2, 3, scream!
We hear you.
They said I hear you.
At Astra.
At Astra, absolutely.
All right, everybody. Are you also watching the stream from SpaceX? Because we are at T-minus 2 minutes on my mark. That's on my screen. I hope everybody else is in
Yeah, we
sync.
should focus on this now for the last 2 minutes.
All right, so I'm gonna put my. Oh, sorry, I'm talking about.
That's okay. I'm going to turn up the sound on my end a little bit. Hi, Kevin.
I have a question. Does anyone have it on their device, like where we could present it, so everyone can
All of its
see it?
propellants. Closeout will begin shortly. Expect loud venting.
Announcement to let the crew know that as we vent off various lines on the launch pad, we'll hear some loud noises. Let the crew know that's planned. We're also right now draining the liquid oxygen out of the transporter erector, draining the lines, getting ready for launch. Waiting for the startup call at T-minus 1 minute.
So that they can be pulled away for launch. We are under 1 minute.
FPS is on. Second round of startup.
You can hear the cheers. We're inside 1 minute.
Go for launch.
Inspiration 4 is go for launch. Punch it, SpaceX.
Commander calling
30
down.
seconds.
Punch it, SpaceX.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8,
4. Copy, 1 Alpha.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
T plus 30 seconds. Callouts indicate nominal. Historic mission flying the Inspiration 4 crew on board Dragon and Falcon 9. Great deal of the crew in the capsule. We're into the throttle down, into the throttle bucket.
Stage 1 throttle down.
Throttling down in preparation for the period of maximum dynamic pressure. A minute in the flight.
9 is supersonic.
Stage 1 throttle up.
We're through the period of maximum dynamic pressure.
Copy,
We're
1
throttled
Bravo.
back up, and 1 Bravo, the call out from space. That's one of the abort sequences. That is a nominal call. Everything continues to be good. Looks like a smooth ride for the crew.
Can you hear the cheering at SpaceX?
Okay, we heard the call out. MVAC-D is chilling. We're beginning to get the turbo pump ready on the second stage engine for ignition. We're passing through 3 G's acceleration. Everything continues to look nominal.
And for some of you may have happened.
Merlin engines are throttling down for G limiting. 4 Gs, we're holding it there for the crew. Major event coming
Just
up.
a
Will be main
spectacular
engine
video.
cutoff,
We're going to watch
followed
the
by
first
stage
stage fall
separation.
away.
Looking at the second stage engine nozzle.
You have hit
and
me,
then
go.
ignition of the second stage.
Yay. Okay.
And Miko. Stage
So watch
separation.
that second stage engine heat up and turn bright white.
And ignition.
That's incredible.
So much clapping going on.
You can see on the screen there on the right-hand side that
You turn mine down because of it.
ignited. That's the MVAC engine.
Barely hear Mr. Kaplan.
I'm sure the crew felt.
And I
another
just have
kick in the
capsules on,
G's
so it
there
doesn't
as
matter.
it ignited. Officially, the Inspiration 4 crew are now on their way to space.
See those
First
fins
booster
that
there on the left-hand side of your screen
stage
is making
because it's
its
coming back
way back down to Earth. The grid fins have popped out to assist with the steering. It will be making a landing attempt on our drone ship. Just read the instructions, which is parked out and holding position in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, so we have a couple of views on
Acquisition
screen.
of signal, Bermuda.
As Kate mentioned, the left-hand side is a view from the top of our first stage looking down. That has already separated from the second stage, and it's making its way back to Earth. The velocity of the first
Dragon
stage
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
is being tracked on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. On the right-hand side of your screen is a view of our second stage Merlin vacuum engine. On the opposite end of that engine is the second stage and the crew, which sits on top of the second stage. Everything looks to be going normally with them. And you can also track the velocity on the second stage on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. And we also have awesome views of the crew inside of their capsule as well.
I'm pretty sure during first stage ascent, I saw Dr. Sian Proctor. I'm pretty sure I saw Dr. Sian Proctor give us 2 thumbs up. I'm sure she enjoyed this ride that she's been waiting for her entire life.
Yes. One notable thing too is we're getting some twilight views. The sun just set in Florida, but we're high enough up where the light around the horizon is also reflecting off of very high altitude objects, such as the first and second stages.
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Love to hear that call out, trajectory nominal from the guidance engineer. Also notice we're really up there now, well past 100 kilometers.
Acquisition of signal, New Hampshire.
Just before that view switched, we saw some teammate fist bumps going on there inside of the cabin.
Yeah, they look like they're having a fun ride there. And their journey isn't over. We've got about 7 more minutes until Dragon separates from the second stage.
Yes, next milestone for this mission is actually going to be happening on the first stage. It's going to be performing a re-entry burn that's going to be coming up around the T plus 7 minute and 30-second mark. That burn is used to slow down the first stage before it re-enters the denser parts of the atmosphere. A few minutes later, it will execute a landing burn and make an attempt to land on our drone ship that's currently parked in the Atlantic Ocean.
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Dragon copies.
So far,
sorry.
I was just going to say, so far, everything looking great for the Inspiration 4 crew. Hearing that everything is proceeding nominally there with the second stage, which is what you see on the right-hand side.
H2 propulsion is nominal.
I was just going to say that MVAC engine we just heard now is looking nominal.
About a minute left to go before the first stage performs its first burn.
And on your left-hand side, looking at the first stage, you may see those white puffs. Those are the nitrogen puffs helping to steer and guide the vehicle. Basically,
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
basically is the attitude control for the vehicle as it makes its way back down to Earth.
There's the crew on the right-hand side of your screen. I think I see some more thumbs up there. Dr. Proctor is clearly excited that she's finally in space. Again, this mission will be orbiting Earth for 3 days, and they will be at an altitude of 575 kilometers, which, if I remember correctly, John you said that that is the distance from Los Angeles to the Golden Gate Bridge.
There you go. They're going to get there a lot faster.
Stage 2, FTS is saved.
Right now,
So what you're seeing on screen on the left-hand side is the entry burns, the first of 2 burns on the first stage. Again, this first stage has already separated from the second stage. So the first stage is making its way back to Earth, trying to land, and the second stage, everything is going well. It is headed into orbit with the crew on board.
Actually, there on your screen, you can see a sunrise horizon there with planet Earth just behind the glowing MVAC engine.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
call out stage 2 and terminal guidance. We're at the altitude. We're working the angular momentum we need to get into the right orbit. And if you're wondering, crew's pulling about 3.5 Gs right now, less than they took on the first stage flight.
So in about 15 seconds, we are expecting
Copy, Shannon.
We are expecting
throttle down.
The MVAC to throttle down and cut off an event called second engine cutoff, and then we'll wait for the confirmation of good orbit. At the same time, the first stage will be beginning its landing burn. And here we have the MVAC. We just saw that it shut off its engine.
Stage 1, landing burn started.
Dragon SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
All right, good news there. The nominal orbit insertion. That's amazing news for our Inspiration 4 crew.
Copy that, Jackson. Show the field. On behalf of the crew of Inspiration 4, we just want to thank everyone back at home for making this mission possible. We were just carried right to the doorstep of an exciting and unexplored frontier. A few have come before, and many are about to follow. The door's opening now, and it's pretty incredible.
Stage 1, landing is confirmed.
Dragon SpaceX, launch escape system is disarmed.
And you can hear the excitement behind me. We just heard from Jared thanking everyone for making this mission possible. The Dragon capsule and crew are in a nominal orbit. In a few minutes here, we'll begin opening that. In a few minutes here, we'll separate from the second stage, and then shortly after that, we'll begin opening that nose cone. At the same time, we landed our first stage on the drone ship, which is super exciting.
As if the second stage action wasn't exciting enough.
Right.
So there's that MVAC engine, like we mentioned before. It has already shut down in an event known as second engine cutoff. And the crew are now gliding, if you will.
Now, one thing right now is we're coming up just under 11 minutes in the flight. We're waiting another minute and a half or so before we get into the separation sequence. The second stage is going through a series of events where we make sure that gases are all pushed out of the system. There aren't any what they call disturbance torques. We want to make sure that the second stage is very stable, it's quiet, it's not moving around, it's not doing anything. So we give it a few minutes to actually just vent everything down, then go into quiet mode. Then Dragon will send the command to separate itself from the Falcon 9. It'll be pushed away.
Hi.
Well, this just goes, Sean and I were reading this book about all the problems Elon Musk had, and this just goes to show you can never give up. And he was so close too, but it's a good thing he kept it ongoing, because look now.
Very true. Absolutely. Getting pretty close to Dragon deploy. I think we're going to be able to watch this here. Looks like we've got a view.
It's there.
Excellent. Artemis is
Yes, I'm
Artemis
already
is living in the she's living in the future.
Yeah, she's spoiling the plot.
True. About 12 and a half minutes in, it will deploy successfully.
All right, it just separated on my screen. Very exciting.
Yes, and you have that great adventure thing. I can't hear you. What? Well, you said
You can see little bits of debris flying around, going past the camera. Those are not asteroids.
I certainly hope not.
What is that?
Jared Isaacman.
Everything looks nominal.
So Dragon has separated.
I'm listening into SpaceX for a moment.
I don't think you can mix it. I thought the same thing.
Oh, let's go. I found the live one. I found the
Of Commander Jared Isaacman and pilot Sian Proctor.
So, young people, have you
Dr.
ever
Sian
been
Proctor's
to
on the
the Air and
right-hand
Space
side,
Museum in Washington,
and Jared is on the
someplace
left-hand
else where
side.
they
And
have
this
a command module, an Apollo command module, or even the early space shuttle cockpit? And you can see, especially in the Apollo command module, all of the switches and buttons and all the things that you had to operate. Compare that to the three big touch screens that they use now in the Crew Dragon to control that spacecraft. We've come a long ways.
I haven't seen the Apollo spacecraft, but I have seen Discovery, one of the space shuttles. So, and even those, they're later, but they still have a lot of switches inside of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a good view right now of those touch screens that they're using to control Dragon. Brian?
How much mobility would not astronauts, people that are going to space have in here?
Did you say how much mobility will they have inside the Crew Dragon?
Yeah, like how much room do they have?
It's a pretty small space. I've peeked inside a Crew Dragon capsule, and it's a lot more room than they had in the Apollo command module. It's so much more room than they have in a Soyuz capsule, which you have to be put into with like a shoehorn. It is so tight. It's a good thing they don't spend too much time in those anymore. They'll have a little bit of room to move around. You'll be happy to hear that they have a toilet and they have a little privacy screen for the 3 days they'll be up there. But it's still not like being on the International Space Station, where you've got all that room to float around and explore. It's going to be a pretty tight space for 3 days, but they do have that wonderful cupola, the new window, the dome that has been installed on this Dragon capsule. And that is going to give them such a spectacular view of Earth, much like the cupola on the International Space Station. It's very cool.
The total space is only 9.3 cubic meters. That's
Not a lot.
much.
Okay.
So divide that by 4, everybody. How would you like to have about 2.5 cubic meters to live in for 3 days?
Looks like a ghost on camera.
Yeah.
As long as I'm in space, I will take absolutely any space.
I'll take that.
That's the right answer.
If I get to be an astronaut.
No
That
pun
is-
intended.
That is the right answer.
Well, you also have to remember you don't have gravity, so you have full use of all that space. You know, when you're in your house, you're just walking on the floor and you're not utilizing the space above you. So you do actually have a little more space to play with, literally, in space.
What's about?
Hey, Lucas, can you mute unless you want to share something? We're hearing a little bit of background noise there, but love you bunches.
Anybody else want to jump in? How about any
Aaron.
of our grown-ups have some thoughts about this? Aaron?
Oh my God, I was just putting in the chat. I have long arms and long legs, so I don't know how well that space could do for me. But honestly, wow, I cannot believe this. I think that this is incredible. One moment that I really am thinking of is when I met Sian, gosh, probably about a year ago. It was similar, doing a chat. And we talked a little bit and she told me her story. And in the back of my mind, this was before like any of this ever came out. I was just like, you know what? I feel like she's going to get her chance at some point. And so watch it finally happen, because I know for a lot of us, and especially you young people, this is going to happen in your lives where you set out to do something and you get so close and you get told, you feel like you're getting told no, but in reality, it's not yet. And you just have to keep being patient. You got to keep pushing at it, keep pursuing your dreams, and eventually things work out like they're supposed to. So I'm really excited for everybody in the crew, but especially Sian, because it has been a long time coming for her. And it's just so exciting to watch.
I totally agree, Aaron. You know, when there is a special aura about a person, and I met her about 2.5 years ago. We actually graduated from the same program, the class of 1902. And we all sat down, and there was another scientist there actually said, "You're going to go up," and just like drop the mic like that. And I went, yup. Because there is an aura and a specialness. All of them are actually, incredible individuals. But since I know Sian personally, I'm like, what a great role model, mentor, just an individual, what humanity can be. And it's just astonishing. I have students around me, they're coming and going, and they just cannot believe that this is their future, that if they want it, they can get it. And how they're going to use it depends on all of them.
Yes. One thing I definitely want to say too, I kind of touched on this in the panel yesterday, but we live in this age where everything happens so quickly. I mean, it's 120 characters, it's 30-second TikToks. If it doesn't happen now, it's never going to happen. And one thing that I think spaceflight teaches is the virtue of like patience and perseverance. And again, like I hate to sound like this old guy, but especially for the younger kids listening, in the world that you're coming up in, like you're going to get to points where the answer is not on the first page of Google. It's not on the second page of Google. It doesn't exist in Google. And it's going to take time to figure it out. And it's going to take a consistent effort over a period of, like I said earlier, just time. And so watching spaceflight, watching it happen, seeing what can be achieved when we really put our minds to it, I think does teach that virtue of patience that's getting lost in the modern age.
I want to drop in a comment from Steve Sherman, who is still with us down in South Africa, but unfortunately we can't hear or see him, but he's in the chat. He says, the launch was fabulous, but this and other launches like this give hope to the youth, to young people like you folks, that space is attainable. Reaching for the stars is possible. How exciting it is to be alive. You young folks, I envy you because you really do have a great shot at going into space, whether you become professional astronauts or not. And you're seeing the beginning of that era right now as this gets underway. It's very, very exciting. I'm going to have to drop out in about 5 minutes at 1:30. I'm going to be talking tomorrow with an astronaut some of you may have heard of, Katie. Anybody know or heard of Katie Coleman?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. She's great. She's in a brand new movie, which is coming out. Actually, I think it's maybe just come out or it's coming out next week, called The Wonderful. And it's talking to astronauts who lived on the International Space Station. And I highly recommend it. I've seen it. It's a very personal movie. It's talking to all of these different astronauts from all over the world, Italian, Japanese, Russian, Canadian, British, American, about this experience that they've had on the International Space Station. And it's just going to be, I think you'll enjoy it a lot. And I'm going to be talking to the director of that movie and Katie for next week's Planetary Radio episode. And I have to get ready for that. So, and she right now is on the Netflix podcast, the Netflix live coverage of the launch. So she's out there doing what we're doing as well. And I'm sure she's just as excited as we are.
Now, it looks like the SpaceX feed is done also, so you picked a good time to leave. So thank you very much, Matt. You know, you're always welcome. You're always terrific coming on our programming. Thank you also for all your help with the Humans to Mars Summit. You know, once again, I want to call out obviously to Matt, to Janet, and to Wade, who's not on screen right now, you know, who held the whole thing together, another successful Humans to Mars Summit. And of course, we hope to be there in person in Washington next May. So I think we all hope we can finally get back together. I can't see anything that says there. Wait a minute.
Let me drop this in because
you're showing off that you have a phone, Matt.
I do have, yes, well, it's an old iPhone now because the new one's out. But I did send a text message to Bill Nye, the Science Guy. And here is his response, everybody, a special message for all of you. Space exploration is how we will learn whether or not we're alone in the cosmos, followed by 2 thumbs ups and a heart. So that's from Bill Nye to you guys.
Thank you, Matt.
And thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Hey, kiddos, it's not every night that you get to say good night and have a kind of like that's your good night wish from Bill Nye, the Science Guy. It is a monumental day, everybody. Again, we just, we're rooting for the entire Inspiration 4 crew, but Dr. Sian Proctor, you have been dreaming of this. You have worked toward it. You have never let down in your focus or your intention, and you're living your dream. And we couldn't be more proud and excited for you. So go Inspiration 4 crew. Can't wait to see you and hear your story of space once you splash down. And thanks to all the students who joined tonight. Oh, and thank you all of our experts who joined and decided to come on and hang out with us. Aaron, Dr. Gonzalez, Dr. Pandya, Tom and Linda, Rhonda, Mr. S, even lying there in your bed, and Artemis Westenberg. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Ad Astra indeed, and good night, everybody. See you later.
Good night.
Good
Take
night,
care, my
everybody.
world.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Don't let the bed bugs bite.
Don't let the space bugs bite. Oh, space
bugs, they exist.
Oh no.
Bugs.
What's a space bug?
Okay.